And a special thank you to all my viewers for making justice #1 again last Saturday. A lot of news to cover tonight. White House Deputy Press Secretary Hogan Gidley, as well as Congressman Ron DeSantis, are both standing by. But first, my opening statement. The biggest snow job in political history is taking place right now in the United States. Illegal immigrants trying to make you feel bad about President Trump's offer to grant 1.8 million illegals amnesty and a path to citizenship. Query: I'd like to know what country anywhere in the world that would let in 1.8 million people who violated their rules, disrespected their laws, but were still willing to forgive them and generously allow them citizenship, only in the end to be called racist.
That plan is a campaign to make America white again. It's a plan that says over 50% of the current legal immigration will be cut back, that many people will be sent out of the country.
So here we go again. Reagan gave amnesty in 1986, and just over 30 years later, we're in the same mess. Why? Why? Because the border wasn't secured and closed. Illegals just kept pouring in. And during those Obama years in 2014 and 15, teenagers from El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras were virtually invited in. Some even members of that violent gang, MS-13. So you say, come on, have a heart. The Dreamers were born here. This is the only country they know. In truth, most Americans, including myself, don't have a problem giving Dreamers a path to citizenship. But somehow, that doesn't seem to be good enough. Senator Dick Durbin says Dreamers should not be held hostage to President Trump's crusade to tear apart families and waste billions of American tax dollars on an ineffective wall. Wait a minute. You dare to turn around and call us names when tens of millions of legal immigrants followed the rules, waited in line, hired attorneys, studied American history, and swore allegiance to this great nation. Most of them saying that the day they became an American citizen was one of the greatest days of their lives. I know. Because as a Superior Court judge, I swore in thousands of newly naturalized citizens. They didn't complain. They didn't call us racist. They thanked us. But no, not the Dreamers. Democratic immigration advocate Eddie Vail called the White House proposal, quote, a legislative burning cross. So, what makes you think you're entitled to citizenship? What have you done to earn it? On second thought, it doesn't matter what you think. You've got no standing in this matter. You are not even a citizen. The DACA narrative, though, of young high schoolers about to go to college, in college, or recently graduated, looking to contribute to society, when, in point of fact, Dreamers are not a highly educated segment of the U.S. population. According to a study by Harvard researcher Roberto Gonzalez, 21% of DACA recipients have dropped out of high school, far above the national dropout rate in the United States of 5.9%. And according to that study, Dreamers then have lower than average educational attainment. DACA supporters say Dreamers are no more likely to commit crimes than U.S. citizens, but according to Crime Prevention Research Center, illegals in Arizona commit crimes double the rate than U.S. citizens. And by the way, according to a September 2017 report of the Federation for American Immigration Reform, illegal immigration costs the United States taxpayers a net cost of $116 billion. That's billion with a B dollars a year, clearly outweighing taxes paid to federal and state governments by a ratio of 7 to 1. The federal government alone spends $46 billion on illegal aliens and their U.S.-born children for public education, for medical care, justice enforcement, and welfare. So, Here we have President Trump willing to give almost 2 million illegals amnesty in exchange for a border wall, an end to chain migration, and the end to the visa lottery. Yet instead of being grateful, they're indignant.
They want these workers to live as second-class citizens, to not have the rights and ability to speak up.
Second-class citizens? There is no such thing as a second-class citizen. You're either illegal or a citizen with all the rights and privileges that go along with it, including the right to vote and the right to pay taxes like the rest of us. What makes you think your parents have the right to be citizens because we're allowing you, your spouse, and your children to be citizens? I've got news for you. You're here because of the United States' largesse. You have nothing. You have no cards, no chits, and no leverage in this game. And on top of that, you complain that we're white supremacists. Get your facts straight. How could we be white supremacists if most of the 2 million that the president wants to give amnesty to are not white? And one of the largest DACA organizations says of the president's proposal, quote, "Let's call this proposal for what it is, a white supremacist ransom note. Trump and Stephen Miller killed DACA and created the crisis that immigrant youth are facing. They have taken immigrant youth hostage, pitting us against our parents, black immigrants, and our communities in exchange for our dignity." I've got a news for you, dreamers. You're being used. Crying Chuck, a.k.a. worthless shutdown Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Dick Durbin, couldn't care less about you. You are nothing but a pawn in a bigger game set up by your hero, Barack Obama, who intentionally didn't resolve this when he was president. Now, President Trump, whom you hate, has more than double the number of people to whom he's willing to give amnesty, and he's willing to pay a political price for it. And these people would rather reject Trump's offer to make 2 million of you legal and keep you in the shadows instead of giving President Donald Trump a win that he's entitled to. You get it? You're being used. They don't want it to work. And by the way, what is the problem with the wall anyway? Open borders only allow more people to cross and add to our tax burden. And who are you to say what a sovereign nation can and cannot do? Try doing that in your home country and see what happens to you. And who are you to say that you're entitled to bring in your parents in addition to your spouse and your children? What gives you the right to be indignant? Your parents are the ones who created this mess in the first place by bringing you here. Citizenship is a privilege. We don't grant it to people because they think they deserve it. What have you done for the United States? Were you in the military like my dad and grandfather? What have you done to benefit this country? And if you've been collecting welfare, how about you pay it back? Now, I believe in the American dream. I don't want anyone to take advantage of it. And I don't want anyone to ruin it, especially people who are not grateful to be here, who seemingly hate us and call us racists. There needs to be an allegiance to the United States and what this country stands for. And that's my open. Tell me what you think on my Facebook page, Twitter, and Instagram, hashtag Judge Jeanine. Instagram, hashtag _ Judge Jeanine. Joining me now with reaction to my opening statement and much more is White House Deputy Press Secretary Hogan Gidley. All right, Hogan, thanks so much for being with us tonight.
Judge, thank you so much for the time. Amazing open just now.
Well, you know, I have to tell you, Hogan, every one of us, unless you are a Native American, are immigrants. We all get it. We are the sons and daughters of immigrants. But our families came here legally. They followed the rules. The rules had to do with whether or not we could afford them, whether or not they could sustain themselves. They had a job. They had a skill. They had something to offer. Now, with all this globalist nonsense going on, everybody thinks they're entitled to be here.
Absolutely. And I will say, let's remember what got us here. This is 40 years of failed policy that, in essence, put the interests of other countries above the interests of the American people. Democrats had the House, they had the Senate, and they had the White House under Barack Obama with a filibuster-proof Senate. and they did not touch this issue. What Donald Trump has done in a short amount of time, in just a year, has exposed the Democrats' position. You'll remember during the shutdown, the White House was very clear. The Democrats want to use this as a political issue. They shut down the government, put America's military at risk, 8.9 million children who receive health care from the government at risk, all over hundreds of thousands of people who are here unlawfully and illegally, instead of the hundreds of millions of American citizens. Now, after this thing has been reopened, the government is now functioning again, the president comes forth, puts a package out there that is extremely generous, and as you just pointed out, it's 3 times the number of DACA recipients that President Obama asked for.
That's right.
Absolutely. So this exposes the Democrats for what they are. They want to put the politics over American people's lives, and quite frankly, it's disgraceful.
Well, you know, so that brings us to the question of what happens in February. Is it February 8th, and what happens again in March? I mean, are the Democrats so political, so non-caring for these DACA individuals that they would rather risk not getting them the amnesty that President Trump is offering and instead shut down the government under the guise of, oh, you're not getting what you want?
Well, it's more than just not caring about the DACA population, which I think you articulately point out they don't. It's they refuse to protect the American people on the backside. They are against a wall, even though they voted for it years before. They're against ending chain migration, where you can let in your 4th cousin, your 5th cousin, your aunts, your uncles that have no business being here. Right. They're against the visa lottery system, which just lets in random people with no discerning skill whatsoever. It's completely Russian roulette with people from other countries. You have no idea if they want to do us harm, if they want to contribute to society. This president came in a short amount of time, said, I want this immigration system to work. I'm willing to work with you guys and give you a long-lasting solution to DACA, which you have said you wanted for years. In exchange, we must protect American lives. And for whatever reason, not only do Democrats not want to deal and help out the DACA folks in this country, they don't want to help out the hundreds of millions of American citizens by protecting this nation.
And, you know, what I think is interesting is that, you know, they say that the illegals now are making a better America a better place, that it makes it a richer place. And but when we say that we want a merit-based system, they say that we're racist. I mean, how do you deal with these people? And by the way, there's a study here which I think is stunning, and that is 85% of black voters think that immigration based on merit is the only way to go. So It certainly isn't racist, is it?
Absolutely. And you're talking about the Harvard-Harris poll, I believe, which also pointed out 7 out of 10 Americans do want a pathway to citizenship for DACA folks. Great. But it also points out 7 out of 10 Americans want an end to chain migration. They don't think you should be here just for familial ties, which, as we now know, thanks to the Trump administration and the president wanting to put sunlight and sunshine into something that's been covered up for years by the federal government, 70% of migrants are purely here for familial ties. They're only here for chain migration. They have no, that's right.
All right. Hogan Gidley, it's so good to have you on from the White House. Thanks so much. We look forward to having you on again.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Thank you. And now to our other big story, the text message evidence proving the fix was in for Hillary in that email investigation. In just one of many shocking text exchanges, Trump bashing FBI lawyer Lisa Page messages her lover, FBI Deputy Director for Counterintelligence Peter Strzok on February 25th of 2016 and says, one more thing, she might be our next president. The last thing you need, us going in there loaded for bear. You think she's going to remember or care that it was more DOJ than FBI? And Strzok, her boyfriend, replies, agree. So they basically were worried about actually doing a real investigation because they thought she'd be president. Joining me now with a reaction is Congressman Ron DeSantis, a member of the House Oversight and Reform Committee. All right, Ron, now, FBI, this week was a crazy week. They're missing these text messages, and this is what I love. They said, and this is the FBI statement, mobile devices did not capture or store the text messages due to misconfiguration. Then we find out that the Department of Justice IG was able to recover the text messages that the FBI told us were never recorded. So one of two things. Either the FBI is lying or the Inspector General performs miracles. And then I want to know who deleted them, who had them removed, who lied about them never being recaptured or recorded, and what are you going to do about it?
Well, if you believe the IG performs miracles and I got a bridge in Brooklyn, I'll sell you tonight, Judge. Of course they were there. So the question is, I think, did DOJ, FBI, did they do kind of the John Koskinen treatment of Lois Lerner's emails, just kind of not even try to look for them? Or did they actually concoct this to mislead the Congress? But the fact that these things turned up within 48 hours, I think that's devastating for FBI and DOJ.
Yeah,
we will get to the bottom of why that letter was sent, because it did mislead Congress.
My viewers, Congressman, I have you on. My viewers love you. I have you on, but they keep wanting to know what is going to happen. Now that we're getting the facts, look, Hillary Clinton smashed her iPhone with a hammer and BleachBit, and Lois Lerner stuff. Koskinen said whatever, the main server wasn't working. The FBI lies. They all lie. If we did this, we'd be in jail. What are you going to do?
So I think when we go back next week, I think that the Intelligence Committee will vote to release that memo that details how the FISA was used against Donald Trump. And that's important because Strzok, Page, they're all involved in this. It dovetails with the biases that we've seen in the text messages where they bent over backwards not to make a case against Hillary, but yet took really thin gruel. This dossier, perhaps, is what the memo may or may not answer the question on, and then did this counterintelligence thing where you're focusing on Trump associates. So that memo is coming out, Judge, and when it does, it's going to answer a lot of the questions that you and your viewers have had about how did this Steele dossier come into the possession of the FBI?
Okay.
Did the FBI use it to get FISA?
Let me
and
ask
then
you
once
this.
that is public, then I think we have the ability to really press for people to be held accountable.
But I want them taken out in cuffs. I don't want to hear this accountable. I don't want to hear that their parking space got moved or a guy who's having an affair ends up being sent to HR as though he should be telling people how to live their lives. I mean, this is crazy stuff.
That is something that I think that once the memo's released, I think that there's going to be calls for a special counsel, 2 sessions, from all these committee chairmen who are involved in it. And I think it's going to be hard for Sessions not to do that. And so obviously that special counsel would have to follow the facts. But I think you need somebody outside the swamp. I don't agree with this idea that just pick somebody who already knows all the people inside these bureaucracies. It's got to be someone from outside.
Okay.
Bring them in. They don't owe anybody anything, and then do it.
How can you make Jeff Sessions appoint a special counsel?
Well, I think if the Congress is telling him you need to do it, here are the reasons why.
The president
he's going to have to provide an explanation for why he doesn't do it.
Did you hear what I said?
No.
I said the president tells him what to do, he doesn't do it.
Well, look, I think in this case, Sessions' office has actually been cooperative. I think there have been other elements inside DOJ, the bureaucracy, and the FBI, but I do think that they want to get to the bottom of it, and I think they realize that this stuff just wasn't handled properly. You look at how they handled Hillary, you look at how they handled the so-called Russia collusion, it stinks to high heaven, and you got to clean this up.
You know what? This is a very sad commentary. You know what? If Jeff Sessions believes in truth, justice, and the American way, he better do something about it because people are fed up. I'm telling you, they are. But Ron, Congressman, it's always good to have you on. We're very, very pleased with what you're doing, and let's see what happens with this FISA memo. Have you seen it?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Have you seen it?
I have seen it.
Is it bad?
I've seen it.
I gotta go. Is it bad?
It's bad, and I want you to see it, Judge, very soon.
Send it to me tonight.
We got to vote to release it. That's coming
I know
up.
they're yelling at me. All right. Up next, now that we know the fix was in for the Clinton email probe, what else can be done? Judicial Watch's Tom Fitton is here, plus a brand new Street Justice on tap. I head to Hillary's hometown to see if I can find her. This is one you don't want to miss. Does Hillary Clinton drop off her pantsuits here for dry cleaning? Hey, does Hillary drop off pantsuits? Do take pantsuits. Justice and FBI have been operating. Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton joins me now. Now, for all my viewers who haven't heard me say it before, Tom Fitton is the guy who does more than Congress does, because he goes to court and he gets this stuff that the FBI and the Department of Justice tell Congress they don't have. So he's my hero. But anyway, let's talk for a moment, Tom, about these text messages from the Strzok and his Gumad, their Lisa Page, right? We can't find these text messages. We don't have them. It was never captured. Now, you go to court. Tell us what happens.
Oh, we sued for them, and then they said they found them 2 hours later. What? Who are they fooling? But don't worry, there's an internal watchdog at the Justice Department that's investigating itself here, both itself and the FBI. You know, and if Sessions were serious about this, and I think he ought to be very serious about it, he'd recognize this is just the tip of the iceberg. He should send the U.S. Marshals in over to the FBI and to secure the evidence here, because there are other text messages that have yet to be turned over to Congress. You know, and separately, we knew there were text messages to be had. We sued back in September for the text messages of the number 2 at the FBI, the compromise, Andrew McCabe. And they just told us this week, they gave us everything they were going to give us, and not one text message was turned over. Have they lost all of Andrew McCabe's text messages? I don't believe it.
Back up.
There's still gamesmanship going on.
I haven't heard this before. Now the FBI is saying they have no text messages from Andrew McCabe. Is that the latest?
They have not turned over any text messages. They said they gave us everything they're going to give us. We asked specifically for text messages. We represent a former FBI supervisory agent in this lawsuit. He knows what to ask for. And they told us essentially, you're not getting any text messages because they gave us everything they're going to give us.
Okay.
Where are Andrew McCabe's text messages? Where are James Comey's text messages?
All right, let's talk about McCabe. McCabe's the one who got the Clinton Foundation money from McAuliffe, the governor of Virginia, for his wife, sends his resume over there in violation of the Hatch Act. There are at least 3-4 investigations, as I recall.
Yep.
And the guy's still working. Tom, is there anything you can do to stop the American taxpayers from paying these people? You want the marshals over there. I want them taken out in cuffs.
Well, what is Director Wray doing? He's defending Andrew McCabe. He's protecting Strzok. He's protecting Lisa Page. In the ordinary course, those 3 individuals would be removed from FBI headquarters in the least. So there's a real problem with the leadership of the FBI. Either Wray is oblivious or complicit. Either way, we need strong action and pressure on the FBI to clean out its ranks at the leadership level that has allowed this, for instance, this scam to go on, obstructing Congress, obstructing the courts and the text message issue, and maybe obstructing justice in terms of withholding and trying to hide these text messages and other documents. Remember, it's this Justice Department that fought tooth and nail to in terms of turning over this dossier information, which by all accounts shows that they lied to the courts. Jeff Sessions has got to take stronger action here. And if Rod Rosenstein isn't going to do it, they should find someone who will if Mr. Sessions has to recuse himself from the Russia investigation. Yeah. Rosenstein's responsible for this. He runs the operations of the Justice Department day to day. The FBI reports to him in the ordinary course. There's got to be accountability. We've got to start calling these individuals out directly.
I don't know what else we can do. I really don't. But I got to tell you, I couldn't agree with you more. That place is dirty, and that's because it's in the headquarters. The field offices are good.
Sure.
But where they take these major cases to headquarters and they play politics. Tom Fitton, thanks so much for being with us.
You're welcome.
And coming up, the gloves are off to immigration reform, and my political panel is fired up and ready to battle it out. Back in a moment. Chuck Schumer at it again, rejecting the president's immigration proposal that prompted the president to tweet this. DACA has been made increasingly difficult by the fact that crying Chuck Schumer took such a beating over the shutdown that he's unable to act on immigration. My political panel is here to battle. Former Trump campaign spokesperson Katrina Pearson and former aide to Senator Chuck Schumer, radio talk show host Chris Hahn join me now. All right, guys, now, what we've got is the president, President Trump, Chris, who is tripling the number that he's willing to give amnesty to that Obama was, doubling it from 2 weeks ago. And now Schumer and Pelosi and the rest of them are calling him a racist. Are these people stupid?
I don't think he's racist. I'm not going to go that far. But I am going to say that the plan falls short in that it doesn't acknowledge the market conditions that drive millions of people here every year to work in our factories, in our fields, cleaning, doing other jobs that most Americans won't take. And quite frankly, this proposal will lead to an increase in illegal immigration. And I think the president needs to stop listening to Stephen Miller and start making sense. He worked in the construction industry. He worked in the hospitality industry. He understands that there's a market driving people here, and that needs to be addressed in any comprehensive immigration reform.
Katrina?
Well, I don't think that DACA recipients are the people that Chris is speaking of, but nice talking points. Look, Judge, this is what's happening. Chuck Schumer was there. Chris was there. The Democrats still haven't gotten the memo. The people of the United States delivered an American-first president in Donald J. Trump, and that's exactly what he's trying to give them. We keep hearing about the DACA kids. Well, what about border security? What about enforcing our current laws that are on the books that so many people are upset about? More importantly, they're really upset about this free flow of legal immigrants coming into the United States. We need to address those issues. But the DACA kids, Judge, those poor kids, they're not even kids. But I want to say, what about our kids? Our kids are important as well, and they dream too. And we hear this notion that we have to be more sympathetic because they were brought here through no fault of their own. Well, guess what? American children have to suffer the consequences of their parents' actions every day for the rest of their lives. So what's so special? Maybe Chris could tell us why Democrats continue to put people who are in this country illegally over those who are not.
Chris?
You know, it's not just Democrats. It's 90% of Americans that want to see something resolved here. It's only the Stephen Millers of the world, and maybe you, Katrina, that don't want to see this resolved. And I think the president himself wants to see it resolved. He said he wants a bill of love.
Yeah, so why? So Chris,
that's the beauty of the bill. That is the beauty of the bill that President Trump hand-delivered to Chuck Schumer. He has given him DACA. So this is really about the kids,
the
Chris,
only thing
the perfect plan.
The president will get the wall for DACA. Even though he promised America that Mexico will pay for it, he will get the wall for DACA, and that's it.
Okay, now you're leaving the topic. The topic here is about DACA. President Trump has given the Democrats DACA. He's given Chuck Schumer more than President Obama did. So why won't he take it? If this is just about DACA and just about solving that problem, what is the issue here? Because it seems like to me
Katrina,
the president has delivered the perfect deal.
His bill basically destroys legal immigration in this country. It takes the right, it takes it away, and it doesn't acknowledge the market. You're all about markets, I thought. Let's acknowledge what really happens. Let's find a solution.
The markets are doing real well, and you would think that your former boss, Chuck Schumer, the guy that delivered the visa lottery, would be first in line to get rid of it, considering 8 people were murdered just a couple of months ago because of it. We need to be talking about what's
Katrina,
right for the American people,
talking about things
and that is
that
to
murder
solve
people.
these
Let's
problems.
talk about guns and how people get shot every week, and you don't want to do anything about it.
Yeah, they get shot every week in Chicago, which is Obama's hometown.
We can control.
Let's talk about guns. Let's take it away from people.
No, we're not talking about guns.
Chris,
we're not talking about guns.
And the Constitution says you take care of the American people over that of others, and the Democrats are refusing that.
Chris, is Chuck Schumer willing to go along with this, or is he going to shut the government down again? Or is he too embarrassed to do it again because he looked like such a loser?
I don't expect another government shutdown at all, but I do not believe that this immigration plan will pass. I think what's going to happen is the DREAM Act that passed the Senate 2 years ago will be proposed again. It will pass the Senate. It might die in the House. And in 2019, there'll be a new House, and it'll pass there. And the president will sign it because it is a bill of love.
Let me tell you something. This president has done more than Obama did for minorities, for jobs, for immigration. But real quick, text messages. Chris, I want you to assume that the president of the United States had a private server and he was getting money from other countries. And you got text messages saying that the FBI was investigating him, or a special counsel was, but they hate the other person who's running against Donald Trump. Do you really think that you would take the same position that you are and Democrats are now, that this is much ado about nothing, when everyone knows that the FBI and the DOJ were in the tank for Hillary?
You know, that's just hogwash. There were all these stories about how the DOJ and the FBI were in the tank for Trump. But for James Comey having that October surprise, Hillary would be president right now. But for that.
Oh, no. Let me make one thing clear. The only reason Jim Comey came out with that 10 days before the election, the emails on the dirtbag server is because NYPD was going to out him. NYPD said, if you don't open an investigation on this pedophile with these photos, then we're going to the press. And Jim Comey did it to cover himself.
It was just to cover himself, Judge. And more importantly, this is a positive affirmation that not only was the election rigged for Hillary Clinton in the primary, but the DOJ and the FBI actually tried to rig the investigation against Hillary Clinton.
Can I tell you,
That is what's going on now. And the memo is going on. We have to release the memo.
Coming up, what did Joe Scarborough, Cher, and Maxine Waters have in common? They all made my list of outrageous comments this week. Michael Tamaro's here to break it all down with me. There he is. Come on over.
It's crazy.
Welcome back to Justice. So this week, Joe Scarborough's at it again, trashing the president. Take a listen.
These conspiracy theories are spread for political reasons and solely political reasons to protect a president who is not worth your protection with your lies. You are only making it more difficult for our law enforcement officers to protect your family and mine against Islamic terrorism and homegrown terrorism that you supposedly fear so much.
And that's just one of the most outrageous things I heard this week. Joining me now with a reaction to this and much more is host of In the Foxlight, Michael Tamaro. Did any of that make sense to you?
No. I think he's lost his mind. And just weeks ago, Janine, he was peddling this theory about the president's fitness, mental fitness, and well-being.
Yeah, and then he
based on
30
sources that he never names.
And then the president gets 30 out of 30. It's not worth wasting our time on. Let's go to Cher slams Sarah Sanders' fashion style. Legendary singer Cher has taken a swipe at Sanders and says, would someone please tell Sarah Huckabee Sanders to stop dressing like a sister wife? Now, I want you to take a look at what Cher dresses like.
Stop. Don't make me do it. Don't make me say it, JP. I mean, it hurts me to the core of my gay DNA to ever criticize Cher.
I know, right?
But I will.
But here's the thing. What is wrong with Sarah Sanders and the way she dresses? She dresses like a lady. She doesn't dress like, you know.
Nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
And
she's brilliant.
Cher's been such an effective vocal advocate for women's rights throughout her career, but to then go and trash another woman for the way she dresses and looks
so she's
discredits
not.
everything
she
said before.
Yes. You know what? Shame on her. And you know what, Cher? You don't look like, you look kind of slutty in that outfit, I got to tell you. Maxine Waters, our favorite, is set to respond to Trump after the State of the Union. There she is. Now, Michael, what do you think Maxine Waters is going to say in response to the president's State of the Union?
Whatever she says, I won't understand it. I never understand anything she says. And she's not a team player. You know, the Democrats have Joe Kennedy speaking that night as the official
put up Maxine's picture, will
Democratic response. And here she is drawing attention to herself.
Yeah, you know what she's
going to say? That night.
I'll tell you what she's going to say. She's going to say, impeach 45, impeach 45, impeach 45. What else has the woman got to say?
That's all she has to say. You know, she was on The View, and Joy asked her, if Trump goes, then we're stuck with Pence. And her response was, we're going to go after him next. So she would be doing this if it was Jeb Bush in the White House, and that's just the bottom line.
Is it a racist thing in reverse?
I don't know.
Oh, come on. Come on, Michael.
JP drawing me into the weeds.
Yes, all right.
I think it's a partisan thing more than anything.
Yeah, right. Celebrities and activists uniting for rival State of the Union address to resist Trump's agenda. A day before Trump delivers his State of the Union, celebrities like Mark Ruffalo and representatives are planning to gather in New York City for the People's State of the Union. The goal, unite against Trump's agenda and spur voters to win back Congress. I have an idea. They should all give back their 401k increases.
Well, the goal is also to articulate a positive vision for the future. So one has to wonder if they're going to talk about the stock market being up 44% since the inauguration, working class people getting bonuses all around the country, companies like Apple pledging to invest hundreds of millions of dollars back into this economy. Will that come up
Michael Tamero, I doubt it.
Monday
Thanks
night
so
in Town
much. And you've been waiting for it all night. My street justice in Hillary's hometown is next. Don't move. You're going to like this one. The Fox News series Scandalous, where Fox News looks back at the Clinton presidency, got me a little nostalgic. So I headed for my old friend Hillary's hometown of Chappaqua, New York. You know, where she likes to hide out in the woods? Take a look. So here I am in front of Newcastle Cleaners in Chappaqua, the hometown of Bill and Hillary Clinton. Does Hillary Clinton drop off her pantsuits here for dry cleaning? Hey, does Hillary drop off pantsuits? You take pantsuits. Have you seen Hillary Clinton? You ever see her?
Rarely. Usually you'll see Bill, not Hill.
Ah, Bill, not Hill. Would you approach them?
I don't know. I might be a little, like, shell-shocked.
Yeah. More for her or him?
Honestly, more for him.
Do you think that people like him more?
I do.
Yeah. Have you seen Hillary Clinton?
I saw it.
When?
About 2 weeks ago. 2-3 weeks ago. I'm not sure about it.
Did she get her nails done? Did she come in here?
No, she didn't.
She didn't come in there? You think maybe she's in the woods?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She's been going in the woods a lot, walking her dog.
Oh, I didn't see her.
No?
Oh.
I walk down the street, people hate me. Did you ever deliver to Hillary's house?
I haven't. I've cooked for a few times.
You have? What have you cooked?
I remember one of them is gluten-free. I don't know if it's Bill or Hillary.
Probably Bill, don't you think?
I think so.
When you cook for them, what do they like to eat?
They mostly like fish and vegetables.
Other than fish, you think that Hillary eats crow now that she lost the election?
Don't know, you know.
No birds, no crow. Have you ever seen her in the woods?
We do have some ducks over there.
Yeah. So here I am at the Scattered Books bookstore in Chappaqua, New York, and I just am interested in whether or not the Clintons come around.
Actually, they come in all the time.
They do?
They do. Yes.
When the Clintons come in here, what kind of stuff do they look at? What do they buy?
President Clinton reads pretty much everything. He reads a lot of fiction, a lot of thrillers, and he also really stays up on the nonfiction that's brand new.
Do you see her as much as you see him?
We don't. We don't see
No.
her as often, but we quite often get emails from her and phone calls from her, and we do historical fiction books for her quite often.
Do you ever delete the emails?
No, never.
Have you seen Hillary on the news? Have you seen her in the woods? Do you think that Hillary should run again for president? What do you think? Should Oprah run for president? All right, so I spoke to some people in Chappaqua. Now I'm still looking for Hillary, so I'm off to the woods. So here I am in the woods in Chappaqua. I'm looking for Hillary. I can't find her. Hillary! You think she's in the woods? I'll bet she's in the woods. Hillary! Come out! Come out! Maybe don't come out. You think she's home writing another book? Or maybe she's still reading What Happened? Because she can't figure out what happened. Hillary! We're looking for you!